This short video is produced in response to former DissoMaster user queries regarding how to make spousal support non-taxable and non-deductible for state taxes. There appears to be a lot of confusion arising from the fact that DissoMaster had tax switches that permitted excluding spousal support from state taxes, and Xspouse does not. This confusion is a result of not having a full understanding of what adjusted and unadjusted guideline net incomes are. With the passage of California Senate Bill 711, it is even more important to understand the difference between adjusted and unadjusted net incomes. In the companion video titled Spousal Support, Taxability and NSI, I showed that the DissoMaster tax switches do nothing more than lock the program into the unadjusted guideline net mode. However, in that video, the focus is on how to derive net spendable income in Xspouse when making spousal support non-taxable and non-deductible under state taxes, and the fundamental aspect of what unadjusted guideline net incomes are appears to be missed by many former DissoMaster users looking for tax switches. In this video, I explain what adjusted and unadjusted guideline net incomes are, and using the unadjusted guideline net setting results in the same child and spousal support as when using the DissoMaster tax switches. The origin of these two terms, adjusted and unadjusted guideline net incomes, arises from the Family Code section 4059A, which states, "Unless the parties stipulate otherwise, the tax effects of spousal support shall not be considered in determining the net disposable income of the parties for determining child support, but shall be considered in determining spousal support." What this means is that when spousal support is a tax item, payment or receipt of that support changes the parties' disposable incomes. Once the payment and receipt of support has occurred, spousal support is recalculated using the changed incomes. This again results in changed incomes, and the process needs to be repeated. In Xspouse, the iterations continue until the difference between the penultimate and last iteration steps is less than $1. The result of this process is the adjusted guideline net. The calculated spousal support is the adjusted spousal support, in that the calculation has taken into account the tax consequences of that support. You can see the results of the iterations by toggling the B key between adjusted and unadjusted guideline net incomes. Note, when I say toggling the B key, I'm referring to the B key on the keyboard, not some special switch in the program itself. Because the Family Code specifies that the tax effects of spousal support shall be considered in determining spousal support, the default display for spousal support in Xspouse is with adjusted guideline net incomes. The displayed child support amount remains the same under both display settings, being that calculated on unadjusted net incomes. Unadjusted guideline net incomes are those guideline net incomes before the tax effects of spousal support are considered in calculating the spousal support. In other words, neither federal nor state taxes are involved in the support calculations. To show you that the unadjusted guideline net incomes setting in Xspouse calculates exactly the same child and spousal support as that in DissoMaster when using the tax switches, I set up the same simple example in both programs. The case is very simple. I use the default one child with mother and 20% time with father. Father has a monthly wage income of $10,000 and the mother has a wage income of $5,000 per month. The spousal support guideline is Santa Clara. On the DissoMaster report, we see that the spousal support has been made non-taxable and non-deductible for state purposes. I have highlighted the key details. The calculated child support is $1,316 per month, and the spousal support is $445 per month. On the Xspouse report, I showed the same case with the program set to display unadjusted guideline net incomes. We see that the child and spousal support amounts are identical to those calculated by DissoMaster using the tax switches, these being $1,316 per month for child support and $446 per month for spousal support. With the passage of California Senate Bill 711, the California tax code now conforms to the federal tax code in making spousal support non-deductible to the payor and non-taxable to the recipient, retrospective to January 1, 2025. It is therefore necessary to set Xspouse to use unadjusted net incomes for calculation of spousal support from this date going forwards by pressing the B key on your keyboard for any new case, unless you change the program defaults in the settings screen to use unadjusted nets. To change the program default for calculation of guideline net incomes, open the settings screen and toggle the base guideline spousal support on adjusted nets to no, and then select the option to save settings as new program defaults. Once you have done that, the program will open with the unadjusted net setting as the default. Note, if Xspouse is installed on a server or you're using a virtual desktop and you need to save the new default settings or new preferences, these changes need to be made with administrator privileges. To do so, you need to open Xspouse by right mouse button clicking on the desktop icon and selecting Run as Administrator. You'll be presented with a window asking whether you want to allow the Xspouse executable cax.exe to make changes to your computer. Select Yes to open the program and make whatever changes you wish on the Preferences screen and on the Settings screen that you want to save as new program defaults. Once you have done that, your server or virtual desktop installation will remember the new settings. In Xspouse 2025-2, once you have changed the default settings in the settings screen, this will trigger the Settings Changed label display mid-screen. The label can be ignored unless other settings have also been changed, then it will act as a reminder to check what has been changed. All changed settings are displayed in red font for ease of identifying what has been changed. In conclusion, for cases decided after December 31, 2024, use unadjusted guideline net incomes for calculating spousal support. For cases decided prior to January 1, 2025, use the adjusted guideline net incomes for calculating spousal support. If you are interested to see the effects of payment of non-taxable and non-deductible spousal support on net spendable income, then use Tactic 1 as explained in the video Spousal Support, Taxability and NSI.